I just can't say it often enough. Building muscle is critical, especially for those of us over 50 or 60. If we aren't building muscle, we are losing muscle. The loss of muscle over time leads to frailty, increased risk of falls, and loss of independence. I don't want these for myself or for you. So can we all agree? Building muscle is critical. I hope you're screaming yes with me. If you've been working on building muscle, then you already know that it takes time and more time than you'd like. However, with the right approach, you can build muscle faster. Now, I did not say fast. I said faster. Building muscle takes time and patience. Stick with me and I will show you how to build muscle faster. And in the last part of this video, I'll share a hypothetical example that you can apply to your own workouts. So what does it take to build muscle faster? Perhaps you've heard me or others talk about progressive overload. Progressive overload is the number one fastest way to build muscle. But what exactly is progressive overload and how do you apply it so you can get the best results? This is what I'll be sharing in today's video. Let's start off with what is progressive overload. The easiest way to explain progressive overload is to think of it as simply challenging yourself to do more. With regards to strength training and building muscle, it means lifting more. The more can be a heavier weight, more reps, or more sets. For ease of this conversation, I'll be referring to progressive overload as using heavier weights. But as I mentioned before, please keep in mind that progressive overload can be a number of different things, including doing more reps, more sets, and even having less rest time as well. It's basically anything that challenges your body to do more. Using more weight does not mean grabbing the heaviest weight you can possibly lift. That's a sure path to injury. We want to build muscle fast while remaining safe and reducing the odds of injury. There's a delicate balance between always using the same dumbbells and jumping to a dumbbell that is just plain too heavy to lift with good form. It's easy to get stuck in a rut or in the habit of always grabbing the same weights. Believe me, I've been there. It's like being on autopilot. You go to do a bicep curl and you grab the same dumbbell you always grab for dumbbell curls. You don't even give it a second thought because you are on autopilot. Does that sound familiar? Let me know in the comments if you think you might be stuck on autopilot, always grabbing the same weights. To be honest, I catch myself doing this quite frequently. I have to consciously challenge myself to try a heavier weight. Our bodies love to adapt, and very quickly. If you've ever tried to lose weight, you've probably become very familiar with the body's way of adapting. You cut your calories and start losing weight. Then, for what seems like no reason at all, the weight loss stopped. Why? Because your body adapted to the new calories. Same goes with strength training. If you always use a 10-pound dumbbell for bicep curls, over time, your body gets strong enough to lift the 10-pound dumbbell. It may have been a struggle in the beginning, but when it's no longer a challenge, your body has no reason to get stronger. Your body adapts to being able to lift what you ask it to lift. In this case, the 10-pound dumbbell. Without consistently challenging your body to lift more, it simply won't get stronger. The next thing you know, you're Strength gains have plateaued and you're not building muscle. Not applying progressive overload is one of the main reasons we don't get the results we want. Now, let's dive into how you can apply progressive overload to your home or gym workout. First, I highly recommend that you track your workouts. That means tracking what exercise you did, how much weight you lifted, and how many reps you completed. In addition, you may want to make notes regarding how you felt, like that was pretty easy, try a heavier weight next time, or I'm super tired because I didn't sleep well last night. The first time you track a specific workout, you'll set what I call a baseline. This is your starting point. You're not trying to crush it. You're picking up weights you know you can safely lift for the number of reps you're going for. So let's just say 10. If the weight you picked up was too easy, make a note of it. If you struggled to get 10 reps, make a note. You could also drop the weight and get a new weight and kind of start over. The next time you do that same workout, look at what you did the week before, as well as any notes you might have made. You may do the same weight, same number of reps for a few weeks, and that is perfectly fine. The idea is to challenge yourself though. If reps 9 and 10 were relatively easy, consider increasing the weights you are using. Now, let's say you've been using the 10-pound dumbbell for a bicep curl, and the next weight you have access to is a 15-pound dumbbell. That's a 50% increase in weight and maybe too much. In this case, you have a couple of options. You could do more reps using the 10-pound dumbbell. So let's say you go for 12 reps instead of 10. Or you could see how many reps you could get with that 15-pound dumbbell and then finish off with the 10-pound dumbbell. Often when I increase weights with this much of an increase, I may only do 1, maybe 2 reps at this new weight. Then I'll drop that weight and finish my reps 3 to 10 with the lower weight, or in this case, the 10-pound dumbbell. In the early days of your program, you may want to focus on just improving your form before you increase the weight you are using. So if your form is not quite perfect, make sure you perfect that before you move on to heavier weights. You never want to sacrifice form to lift a heavier weight. You're still progressing if your form is improving. As you are perfecting your form, you may also want to slow down the lift. This is another way of implementing progressive overload, and you will notice it'll be harder when you go slower. I mentioned it earlier, but it's worth mentioning again. I highly recommend that you track your workouts. As you're applying progressive overload, the changes you make to the weight or the number of reps are going to be small. And it's quite likely that if you don't write it down, you will forget. Like, did I do 10 or was that 9 reps last week? Did I use the 10-pound or was that the 12.5-pound dumbbell? Writing it down will make it so much easier for you to see those small changes. These small changes are what keep me motivated to continue lifting. During most workouts, I can improve something. You most likely will not improve on every exercise every week, but acknowledging what you did last week will help to challenge yourself just a bit. You're going to be making small changes. It might be 1 more rep on 1 set for 1 exercise. This is progressive overload. Small changes made consistently over time. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that you can increase the weight you're lifting forever. There will be a limit. For example, if you use the 10-pound dumbbell for your bicep curls today and you apply progressive overload, you are still not going to be curling 50-pound dumbbells in 12 months or maybe even ever. However, if you are curling a 10-pound dumbbell, it is quite likely that you could be curling 20 or 25-pound dumbbells in the future. Following progressive overload, as I mentioned before, is highly motivating to me. Every time I do one more rep, lift a slightly heavier dumbbell, or even complete a set in better form, I become more energized and motivated to see what I can do in my next workout. This keeps me consistent with my workouts. I mentioned earlier that not following progressive overload was one of the top reasons for not building muscle. I'd say the lack of consistency is the number one reason women don't build muscle. So we want to do what we can do to build in that consistency. I want you to celebrate every improvement, no matter how small you think it is. And how can you celebrate if you don't even realize that you made progress? I'm a fan of old-fashioned paper and pen, but feel free to track your workouts using your phone or a tablet. Just log it somewhere. Then make sure you look at what you did the last time before you start every exercise. It's time to start building muscle. Are you ready to give progressive overload a try? Let me know in the comments if you're ready to apply progressive overload to your workouts, or perhaps you already are applying progressive overload. Up next, I want to walk through a hypothetical workout so I can share how to track your workouts and signs that it's time to implement progressive overload. To keep this simple, we'll look at one exercise over 4 weeks. Remember, this is completely hypothetical, and there are numerous ways this could play out, so your exact scenario will likely be different. In this example, the woman, let's call her Diane, used a 5-pound dumbbell for this exercise. Now, don't worry about what the exercise is because that's not important. You can see in week 1, she was able to get 9, 8, and 7 reps for each of her 3 sets. This is her baseline. Diane's goal is to get 10 reps for all 3 sets. Now in week 2, she'll take a quick look at what she did in week 1. Since she couldn't get all 10 reps in any of her sets, she'll stick with her 5-pound dumbbells again in week 2. As you can see, she made great improvements in week 2 and has a lot to celebrate. I like to highlight my improvements as I've done for Diane in purple. Diane increased her reps for all 3 sets, and she was just shy of hitting her goal of 10 for her last set. In week 3, she decides to stick with the 5-pound dumbbell with the goal of getting 10 reps for all 3 sets, which she does. Now it's week 4. Diane has a decision to make. Is she ready to try a heavier weight? Does she have access to a weight that is only a pound or 2 heavier? In this example, Diane goes for the 8-pound dumbbell because that is the next weight available to her. As you can see, she was able to get 7 reps on her first set and then 6 reps for her second and third sets. She will continue using the 8-pound dumbbell until she's able to get 10 reps in all 3 of her sets. Now, let's look at a slightly different result. Let's suppose that Diane is only able to get 2 reps with the 8-pound dumbbell. In this case, she drops the 8-pound dumbbell and grabs the 5-pound and gets as many reps as she can, which in this example is 7. I recommend that Diane stay with the 8-pound, 5-pound combo until she's able to get at least 6 reps with the 8-pound dumbbell. Once she can get at least 6 reps with the 8-pound dumbbell, then she can decide whether she wants to focus on increasing reps with the 8-pound or continuing to use the 8-pound, 5-pound combo. There is no right answer. This is a personal preference. I hope you found this video helpful and now understand how you can apply progressive overload to your workouts. If so, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and leave me a comment. I always love hearing about your fitness journey. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit subscribe so you can continue building muscle and creating a body you love. I'll see you in the next video.